The world's greatest shuffleboard players have come this week to downtown Reno for Table Shuffleboard's premier event, the 2015 North American Shuffleboard Championships. Our program is made possible by Budweiser, the Shuffleboard Federation, the Sands Regency Hotel and Casino, Champion Shuffleboard, Grant and Betty Watson, and Heirloom Shuffleboards. And now, let's go to the action.
Yeah, I was surprised to hear when I came this morning you were talking about the number one was eliminated last night, so we'll not see him on Saturday.
No, and he has struggled particularly with Junior the last couple of years. Sometimes it's easier to be the pursuer than the top dog. So now the hammer switches. The person that had the hammer the first game now shoots first in the second game. And Roger is going to probably play this pretty conservative. You know, that they have both struggled with that spot a little bit, which is pretty surprising. Now, Roger will probably throw this weight short. Nope, I was wrong.
So two of them on the same side of the board.
Yeah, well, he was either going to throw that weight short and block up some board, or he was going to try and set it up. What he wanted to make sure he didn't do is leave the weights offset enough where Junior could have hit the deep one and slid in behind the block. But now what he's done is he wants to take away as much of the table as he can. Now that still leaves Junior what is one of his favorite lags, which is straight up the center of the table.
But a great opportunity for a three.
It was, you know, that's on a freshly waxed board. It's probably a foot faster than it was at the end of the last game. So,
great point.
This game is very much about constantly adjusting. Now, Roger's probably going to do quite a bit of this at this point in time, and he's just basically going to try and keep Junior from getting any kind of a feel for the speed as long as he can in this new game. Both of these guys are very fast players, and it looks like they have completed their first game while the first game in all the other matches is still in progress.
With the exception of that one shot at the end of the first game, you're right. They have been playing very quickly. They get to the board, get to the other end, get their weights, and start.
Yeah, and some of the other players in the field are, deliberate would be kind of a putting it kindly and mildly. Of course, as a tournament director, we love fast players.
Absolutely. Yeah, and the great thing about this sport, it doesn't matter what these two young men we're watching now are two of the younger men in the tournament, but you can play at any age.
Bill Melton won this tournament last year for the sixth time at the age of 79. And one of the really cool things about this is that there are just literally an unlimited number of possibilities with situations of where the weights are on the board and scores and things like that. And what one of the really great players, Billy Mays, who recently passed away, used to say is that in any given scenario, an amateur player might see one or two different options. Billy might see 10 different things that he might try. So you never stop learning about the game and being in different scenarios that are similar to things that you've experienced, but not necessarily exactly the same. This end of the board that they're playing on is marginally faster than the other end. I can tell by watching a couple of their hammer efforts, and I think that they might both prefer to actually have the hammer on the end that Roger's on. Has it this frame. Well, after missing that weight a couple of times, looks like Junior's got it figured out and stuck that without any problems.
Roger is frequently putting powder at that end of the table. Is it something he's not comfortable with, the way his weight is sliding?
Well, you don't ever want your weight to start in a dry spot. That's for sure. That's primarily why people wax it. Oh,
yeah, I thought it was going to be right at the
so
end.
so the most important thing is you want whatever lane that you're delivering the weight through when you release it to be nice and freshly powdered and consistent. Again, a pretty conservative strategy on Roger's part. It didn't look like he even attempted to stick that weight. Which Junior likes, because that gives him opportunities to continue to try and get the speed dialed in. He's obviously trying to stick this one.
And does.
This board is actually flattened out probably more than myself or the players would prefer, due to the, as we alluded to earlier, the dry conditions here in Nevada make the natural tendency of the boards to become flat, or even the dreaded high center where the weights fall off the sides instead of curving towards the middle. So been a couple of times where weight's fallen off the side where the players expected it to pull back in. These boards will probably be adjusted again in the morning to compensate for that.
Excuse me, but I haven't noticed at all any conversation between the two. Is that depend on the players from player to player, or is it something that guys do not talk to one another very much?
That's very much a player-to-player thing, although there tends to be less conversation as you go deeper into the tournament. But yeah, neither one of these two guys is known for much conversation with their opponent over the course of the game. Now Roger again is going to give Junior no ammunition whatsoever. If there's a clear board, he's just throwing a short weight. And Junior's just trying to get that speed dialed in after having lagged off once already. Now if he's, well, yeah, Junior is a hyper-aggressive player, and he's going to go ahead and try and go in behind that weight. And looks like he put a pretty good stroke on it.
He did.
Not quite. Not quite. That's actually a mistake to throw it there and not get it in behind, because Roger, good chance that he'll stick this weight and force Junior to, he almost hit that back weight. Oh, that's a great shot by Junior.
It is.
That is the hit and slide that I've been referring to. I don't think we've really seen a good one prior to that, but when I say hit and slide, that's what they're trying to accomplish.
You take your opponent off the board and keep your weight on the board.
Well, not only just on the board, but sliding from one side to the other, so it actually becomes deeper than the original weight.
Did that actually go from a 2 to a 3?
Yes.
It did. Okay.
And for the most part, those are easier shots to make when the weight is in one corner or the other, because it gives you a better angle and also the natural curve of the table to work with.
John, this is the first time in the match that Junior has led.
Yeah, and I expected this to be just a knockdown drag-out, so this game is shaping up early on kind of the way I expected the whole match to go. Now this is Roger is deploying a strategy there which we call protecting your hammer. He's not going to throw any kind of a deep weight down there that's going to be difficult for him to outlag, so he put it over there where Junior can't go around it, and it's short enough that if Junior does stick it, it's an easy lag for him. So he's just keeping his, what he wants to do is lag on a clear border against a relatively short one, which is what he did there. And got himself a 2, it looks like.
Regained the lead.
Now, once again, Junior being the aggressive player that he is, he may try and bump that. No, he's perhaps feeling good about the speed of the table and feeling like maybe he's dialed in. We'll just play this conservative and try and lag himself a 3.
You mentioned earlier, but in watching the other players and then watching our feature game, they play so quickly.
Yeah, this is a much faster pace than most players, especially most of the pros. We have a reputation now. Oftentimes in this game, the better the player, the slower they are. Some of that is just being really deliberate, but also the fact that the pros are thinking of so many more options that they see that the average amateur player doesn't.
Good point.
So
yeah.
they're running through a multitude of scenarios on how they want to play any given shot.
And
Very surprising that Junior seems to be struggling with the speed on that end a little bit. Because he's lagged multiple ones, and he's a guy that doesn't lag very many ones over the course of the game.
While they're doing that, how many shots ahead can they think? Because each time the weight goes down the board, it seems to me that the strategy will change. But can you actually think 2 and 3 shots ahead?
Yeah, and essentially they have a pretty good idea of what their opponent wants to do and what their strengths are. So you're both checking out shots for yourself, but also are mindful of what it is that the opponent wants to do and how you might try and take that away from them. That's supposed to be an O. H-O-L-L. Holloway is misspelled. Well, that certainly puts Junior in a spot where he needs to make a shot, and he did.
Yeah, you could see Roger, he came to near our broadcast area just shaking his head. He knew he had made a mistake.
But that's a situation where you don't want to block it so deep that it leaves an easy combination like what he did. But you also don't want to block it a little too short and give Junior an opportunity to just hit the back weight and stick it, and now you're in trouble, even though Junior was the one who made the mistake or missed a weight early. Yeah, that's pretty unusual. Generally, players in that situation are going to be long much more often than they're going to be short. Because essentially there's no penalty. You give up 1 point regardless, so you very much want to throw a 3 or even a 4 in that situation. Coming up short is one of the absolute mortal sins in shuffleboard in a situation where you're lagging against only one weight. So Rogers right here is going to be checking out the speed of the table. He's going to try and find a nice 2 or 3 speed, 2 or 3 lag for himself. So he's checking that out right here since it's a clean board. So if that lane is in fact open on Rogers' last shot, pretty good chance that you'll see another 2 or a 3. Junior, of course, is going to try and block that lane and make him force Roger to lag in a different area of the table. And this is, again, the protecting the hammer strategy. He's got that weight completely out of his way, so if Junior does stick it, that lane that he just checked the speed out on is still going to be open. Junior's probably just going to hit it hard and leave him a clean board.
Yeah, okay, we're talking about thinking ahead. That's exactly what he was doing when you said testing the speed for now that 2 or 3, which he's taking his time.
Yep, and he's going to lag into that exact same spot that he just checked out a couple of shots ago. And that's pretty much it. Players at this level, if you let them lag where they want to and you don't block that shot, you're probably just going to see the same result. Oh, he got off the speed a little bit there.
A little short.
Didn't look like he really followed through as much as he normally does.
Yeah, that was wide open for an easy 3.
Yep, so that's a couple of missed opportunities in a row for Roger. He's had the hammer the last 2 frames and only managed to make 1 point out of both of those opportunities combined.
Yeah, and he leads in this match 1 game to none.
It looks like Junior's considering. Nope. Not that he might be considering trying to go around that weight, but nope, he's and as I mentioned before, 12 is a really big number in this game. 9 is also a really big number. Junior's going to do everything he can to make sure he gets on 9, because that then gives him the opportunity to win the game in 2 frames. If he lags back-to-back 3s after getting on 9, then he's the winner. Wow. Well, he will. Now, this is interesting because most players here are going to be content to take another 1 and make sure they get on 9. Junior, as aggressive as he is, we'll see how far he wants to push this. And he did.
Boy, he did.
He hit him hard.
Nice 3.
Yep, really huge mistake there by Roger. And uncharacteristic and unexpected. Junior now throws that weight off on purpose. He's not going to give Roger any ammunition whatsoever. If Junior had kept that weight on the board any place, Roger would have likely either tried to go around it or bump it up into a spot where there was a go around. Junior's going to try and he probably did not want to stick that weight.
Only the second time in this match that either
player.
player.
Roger's going to try and go around that now. No, not enough speed. Just see the way it was curving in, but he was way short on his speed. Maybe feeling a little bit of pressure, and Junior's going to take this opportunity to try and get real aggressive, but he's too close to the side again. Yeah, not really. He would prefer to have had that weight either a little deeper and perhaps not gotten as close to the side, so it would have curved in and been completely covered. Roger's going to try and pass all of them, which is or maybe make this combination. I'm not sure what that was. Whatever it was, it's not was not executed the way he wanted it to. You can see the frustration on his face.
Yeah, he's had more frustration in this game than the entire first game, just in the last few points.
Yeah, because he kind of felt like he was in a good spot in the match, and especially after having won the last game, and he knows he's letting Junior right back into it and is likely headed for Game 3 now. Now, Junior's opportunities... Junior's options are to either try and stick that blue weight, which he might do to put 3 weights on the board, or he might try and bump those 2 red weights. If he hits that back weight, he could bump that the deeper of those 2 in behind all the weights and leave Roger no combination, or he could come in freehand, which it looks like he's opting to do, and either pass those weights or just block some board. And he came up short. It looked like he was trying to actually put a 2 or a 3 in behind that blue weight and really put the pressure on, although there's a ton of pressure now.
Roger, again, very pensive, looking at what his options are.
Well, the thing is, with where those weights are, basically, if you come up short, you're going to come up short of 3 weights, not 1. So it's almost a a triple penalty if you make a mistake. And he hasn't lagged over in that spot the whole game, and that's a huge mental error there. Although, as I said, you can tell that these boards have flattened out a little bit. It's not really as much curve in them as they would both prefer. Nor myself as a director, we will probably be through these boards again in the morning, readjusting and putting some of that concaveness back into the tables.
And Junior, a point away from evening the match.
Yes, indeed, and it's game on once that happens.
You mentioned earlier, John, if he does tie the match, then they flip again for the hammer.
Correct.
In game 3.
And once that happens, it's the person that loses the coin flip has a choice of color. I would expect there's probably a 90% chance that one of the players will switch colors if the other player has the hammer.
Is it a sport where the players are superstitious?
It's not superstitious, just that, no two weights are identical. They're both playing with Pro Series weights, which are kind of the gold standard in the game, but most players still have a color that they prefer, even out of their own sets. And sometimes it's not even that. It's a matter of thinking that maybe your opponent was really in stroke, and maybe you have no personal preference on color within your own weights, but you think that maybe they do, and you're just trying to force them to do something different.
So a little bit of a head game strategy.
This game is so strategically intricate. It will absolutely blow your mind, and I hope we get a chance to really get into some scenarios here where there's where that's really in play. Now, Roger's only got one goal here. He needs Junior to hit and stick one of these weights to give him a chance to go in around the weight and hide it. Junior's just going to try and hit these real hard right now and leave nothing but a clear board. If that does happen through the first 3 weights and nothing is stuck, then Roger's going to try and put himself a small 2 either right in the middle of the board or on one of the corners and hope to either steal a hammer or the Junior would come up short or lag off the board. So again, same strategy. If Junior does happen to stick this, Roger will try and go around it. And you can see by the Junior's reaction, he did not want to stick that weight. He's given Roger a small opportunity where there would not have been any whatsoever had he hit that weight and gone off. So it looks like Roger's going to try and go to the right rail side and curve a weight in there.
Didn't quite hide it.
Didn't quite hide it, but it is a 2. If Junior should shoot at this and miss it or hit that back weight. Yep, he didn't, and game over.
So we're even at a game apiece.
We are.